Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Scratchy Post. We scratch that gaming itch, and it is once again myself, joined by my lovely group of friends, as we're going to be once again talking about the common density upon the topics that are going on in today's world in relation to gaming and pop culture. Joining me, of course, for today's episode, as always, is Burr.
Yay!
Replacing Dork, who couldn't be here tonight. I'll go for that in a second. Lemming.
Good evening, everybody.
And of course, Shadow down below.
Hello.
So yes, Doctor couldn't be here. He would normally be joining us because, of course, Bo was here with us last month. However, unfortunately, he's not feeling very well, and so we wish him a speedy recovery and hope that he's resting up and resting well. So, everyone, welcome to the show where I gather my friends. We all comment densely upon all the news that's going on in the month. And it's been quite a slow month for news, hasn't it?
Well, it was. It
was
a slow month, and then it started to not be a slow month.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely one of those where it's been towards the back end of the month. The news has certainly ramped up, as it were.
There's been a lot of more pressing news through most of the month.
True.
That is true. That is true. Let's kick off with just going through some of the aspects. In fact, let's cover that. And also, I want to thank.
I'm not sure about that.
The fuck do you want, Alexa?
Ladies and gentlemen, the fifth host, Alexa.
She wants to be involved in the show. Yeah, she wants to be involved in the show, as always. So yeah, naturally, we didn't touch on this last time, but there's a nasty bald man, and he's bald, who decided that he wanted to take over a country.
And not on me, eh?
Not you, no.
No.
Not you, no. Nasty bald man.
We haven't revealed our plans yet, Lemming.
I know what those two are up to. All I know is that unfortunately Putin decided to engage his tiny ego and invade Ukraine. And as such, we extend our condolences to the world and Ukraine especially for going through its hard, tough times. There are gamers over there, people being hurt, all needlessly. We're going to covering now. We're not going to focus on that news because it was very depressing. But we're going to comment on some things that have been tangentially affecting that in the pop culture or gaming landscape. The outcry was very deafening. And a lot of gaming and tech companies have ceased operation in Russia and in Belarus as well, in some circumstances, due to the country being heavily affiliated, shall we say, with Russia's position.
He's being a lot more polite than I was.
The company list is Activision-Blizzard, which we'll get to them a bit later as well. EA, Take-Two, CD Projekt, Microsoft, Ubisoft, Sony, Epic, and Epic Games Workshop. Others include AMD, Intel, Nvidia, Apple, McDonald's, Starbucks, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, IKEA, H&M, Nike, and Mercedes-Benz.
There's a lot of people basically just going, "Fuck you."
Quite appropriately as well. I don't blame them. Ubisoft has also been helping its people stuck in Ukraine, which has been very different from their usual abuse stance of their workforce. Actually helping the people that are stuck there. So it's good. It's good. Okay, praise where praise is due. That is very good. That's very good, Ubisoft. It's very good. Very good. Now, Kenny, good boy. Now stop the other shit, and we'll be all golden.
Yes. Now put those NFTs down.
Put those NFTs down. We know what you're doing with them.
Now we know you can do good. So try harder.
Now keep doing it.
There has been some effects within the gaming industry. For example, This War of Mine, which is a game which promotes.
It's basically a game of basically people trying to survive during. I think it's the war in Chechnya.
No, it's the Balkan War from the early 90s.
Yeah, and it's not like it doesn't sugarcoat it. Let's put it that way.
No,
it shows the real.
It shows the horrors of war.
It's very intense, and it's very certain about how to show the desperation of people, the horrible reality of the civilians who are touched by war, who have to suddenly find ways to just survive.
There's certain people have taken exception to this game due to effectively the developers cited that the proceeds will go towards charity for Ukraine, which some concede to be a bit tone deaf and tasteless. Personally, I think it's a good thing, but that's just me. Let's just say that some certain country men within certain countries,
there are two
Some
countries that spring to
demographics.
mind.
Yeah.
of a more perhaps communist disposition.
They're not technically communist, it's more fascist, but, let's not get onto that. Say authoritarianism.
Have been a bit
Both known to have or had a very red flag.
yes, they are. Yeah, very, very red flag. Which have decided to review bomb this game. Which, if they don't like the game, that's fair. But effectively, the irony of it is that they need to purchase the game.
Do it.
Yeah, thus supporting Ukraine.
Yeah.
So I can't hate them. I kind of can pity them, I guess, because you're idiots.
You played yourselves. Congratulations.
You're idiots twice over. You're supporting a stupid invasion, and also you supported the people who you're invading through doing so.
Yeah,
And
also
invasion.
your review bombing doesn't mean much because it's a 7 or almost 8-year-old game. You can't do much to it, really. The relevant reviews were all done closer to 2014. So.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
The game's like, you can't kill me in any way that matters.
I also want to remind our audience that this is a show where you get to get involved in the discussion. The chat is over there to my would be my left, whatever. It's over here. It's here. So feel free to get involved with the discussion and mention your own, and you can also comment densely with us on the various topics we have for tonight. So yeah, there was that.
Paying attention to it.
John Romero created and released a new level of Doom 2: One Humanity to raise money for humanitarian efforts in Ukraine, and as of the 8th of March has raised over 27,000 euros. It's still available on Romero's website for €5 if you have a valid copy of Doom 2 and a way to make it run. Very good.
Lots of ways to figure it out, and I know Scarfulu's Discord, of which we're a part, can help you with that as well.
Yes, there was also that Humble Bundle which went on, that Humble Bundle so far, which is an ungodly good deal.
Yeah.
Like seriously, pick up that for the games itself. And
you can't anymore.
Oh, okay.
It closed on the 25th of March.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But it had over 120 titles.
Yes, and
it was ridiculous.
It raised
It was really good.
18,847,057 euros for 4 charities.
Yeah.
I must admit, when Burr sent me the numbers, I had to check that his decimal. I was thinking there has to be a decimal point in here, right? And it was like, no, that's a comma.
No.
Yeah.
I
still haven't got around to redeeming all of my keys yet.
Yeah.
There's that many of them.
Yeah.
And that's without one of the Itch-Toes bundle for Ukraine was a collection of nearly 1,000 games, and that raised $6.3 million for everything. People are coming together to help that, to help people in times of need. And I think it's very important, especially for that. And I know that gaming services have started to limit what they do in Russia and aligned countries. It sucks for those that are suffered by that, but it's also, I think, it's important to mention that it's an attack against the government and what they're doing, and not the people.
I do have issues with ordinary Russians getting cut off.
I agree.
From things, and I don't like the turn sometimes of everything that is Russian, the culture, everything is bad. It's just like no. We need to make sure that we send a message that it's Putin that's bad, not his people.
I remember in a bit of history that during the Napoleonic Wars, there was a point where the coalition at the time actually declared war not on France but on Napoleon. Specifically Napoleon.
Yes.
And this is precisely that kind of moment where it's not about Russia, not its people. It's
Mhm.
about this guy is the asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was seen quite strongly in the Tarkov community, another game that I'm quite big into, where they're a Russian development studio. They are based in St. Petersburg, I believe, in Russia, and the game is set in Russia. So loads of people are like, they're a Russian developer. I'm not playing their game anymore, and then uninstalling the game and everything. And it took a few days for the people to realize, oh wait, one,
They can't.
they're not, they can't see anything against the invasion because they're in Russia, so they would be reprimanded by the authorities.
I think you might find that the development team just
Oh.
suddenly disappear if they were to say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very big euphemism for incarceration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And two, if you look them up as a company, they're all of their financial business, as in them as a company, are in London.
Yeah.
Ah.
They're not based a Russian company. They're based in London.
Oh wow.
Well,
They're not giving any financial benefits to the Russian government.
Let's put a cap on the Ukraine war now.
But, yeah.
I think it's nice that we put that aside. We mentioned how it's relevant to what's going on, and let's move on. Yeah, go on, Bert. You're probably the person. Yeah.
Just wanted to add one more thing.
Go on.
Regarding game dev, because at the beginning of in the first week of the war, when there was a huge exodus of Ukrainian people towards the western borders, I've seen on my Twitter feed a lot of game dev related people in Ukraine and in Poland were exchanging information. Like, I have contacts with this many people from various game dev indie companies that want to be relocated and want to try to find a job. Can I get in contact with people who will be able to hire them? This is their portfolio, this is their situation. So it was really incredible and amazing.
All coming together against a common enemy.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to a bit more happy news. The Steam Deck, and I have to be very careful when I say that because my instinct is to say something else, which is from a different company entirely, was released on the 25th of February, and footage showed Gabe Newell himself delivering them, and it's very wholesome. Go check that out as of PCGamer.com. Who here is actually interested in the Steam Deck?
I'm not, but I'm hearing a lot of good things about it.
If I could get one, I blown well would, because it looks like a decent, way of doing stuff with my games collection that I can't do outside of my living space.
I love the idea. I love how the reviews come out for it. I love how people are really great about it. But it's really not for me. It's way too heavy and way too big to be a handheld. And
I've heard it's heavy.
I have a pretty expensive gaming PC already, so for a stay-at-home gaming, that would be quite enough. And
I think... Oh no, sorry, Bert. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I just wanted to add that for handheld options, I still have the much smaller and still quite good Nintendo solutions. So Steam Deck is a bit too big and a bit too clunky for that. And from my perspective.
Well, hopefully it will do some good things for Valve, and they'll iterate the product. It'll be a nice thing to see how that progresses. Speaking of Gabe Newell, he commented about the NFT ban on Steam and why the metaverse is shit. Very interesting article from PC Gamer here. Do you want to take the lead?
A lot of these articles are going to be from PC Gamer because they actually had an archive of the news over the couple of months. So I just
PC Gamer tends to be quite often where we get a lot of our news from because they cover all kinds of things. According to Gabe Newell,
they're not shit.
Yeah. Turns out that he's not a fan of them. And he says the problem is that a lot of actors who are in the space are not people you want to interact with your customers. We have problems where we're started accepting cryptocurrency as a payment option. 50% of those transactions were fraudulent, which is a 50%, half.
That's a flip of a coin of whether the check's going to bounce or not. That's insane.
Yeah, that's, as an investment, it's a horrible idea.
there's a difference between what it should be and what it really is currently based in the real world, and that's the sort of where we are at with blockchain-based NFT stuff. So much of it was ripping customers off, and we're like, yeah, that's not what we want to do. We don't want to enable screwing large numbers of our customers over, so that's what drove the decision. There's nothing inherently about distributed ledgers that make them problematic. It's just, so far, that's almost always what our experience has been. Which is a fair point.
Yeah, that's a fair cop. If you can't regulate yourselves, then why should companies take your shit?
And I want to point out for any people who are thinking of getting into NFTs or supporting NFTs, don't.
No.
And because one thing is, if people can't regulate NFTs, there's one entity who will regulate NFTs.
Yeah, and also a lot of NFTs are pump and dump schemes.
They are pump and dump schemes.
They're basically waiting for somebody to drop the bag on, and you're going to be ending up holding the bag.
Yeah, they've never been created and invented for you to get rich, so it's not a great investment at all.
Not at all. No.
Right.
Don't do it.
Don't.
I mean, there's also the tale within the last couple of weeks of the young man who listed a NFT on the internet worth, $500,000. Unfortunately, he listed it in the wrong currency, and it sold for literal pennies.
Oh dear.
Oh.
So sorry about that one, my guy.
Little sympathy here, quite honestly. And also another company that's going to not get any sympathy and hasn't been getting sympathy is Artisan Builds.
Oh yes.
Let's talk about Artisan Builds.
With a CEO so up his own fucking ass, even Randy Pitchford would go, Jesus Christ, man, you need to calm down.
So
slow down, Satan.
I was around and I've actually watched the Twitch video where this went down on as well. And it is
it's fucking
so
painful.
It is
second-hand embarrassment. It's just like,
it's not that, it's the fact that okay, so for those that don't know, what happened is Artisan Builds have basically ran a giveaway where they sponsor effectively they create a computer and they give it away to one of their ambassadors. Now, to be an ambassador, you don't pay anything, you don't get anything. Basically, the criteria is you put a banner on your website or your Twitch page, and if people click onto that, you basically get taken through. And if people purchase something, then that goes well for you. So there's literally no monetary arrangement. There's no contract. There's no nothing. It's just, here you go. Put this on your Twitch page, and that's fine. They did a giveaway on stream where one of their viewers, and I want to make sure I get this person's name correct because, god damn it, I want to make sure that they get their due course. Where is it? Kapia, who was the person who, which is that's Kiapiaa.
I think it's Kia Pia.
Kia Pia, that's it. Kia Pia, yes. They basically were the ones who won the giveaway through a random draw, and then the Artisan Builds CEO, I think he was the CEO. Basically, then
was the CEO
on stream, Noah Katz, went on and went through the logistics of why they weren't going to give them a PC. Basically, say, oh, you've not got enough views, you've not got enough this. Oh, what's that? No clicks on banner? Well, that's good enough for me, And it was such when you look at it, it was a deconstruction of Kia Pia's kind of logistics there. And it's almost like putting a spotlight on Kia Pia and saying, oh, you're the person at fault here. It was really shitty. Really shitty.
And the thing that rubs me the wrong way is I think Kia Pia is I think she identifies as she, her pronouns. Yeah, she, her pronouns. So it's like, to me, it's just like, oh yeah, you're not up to us. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure he would do this even if the person was using he, him pronouns. But it's just like, wow, you're really going to judge a woman, for like what she basically being a judgmental twat kind of thing.
Yeah, being a judgmental asshole about the whole subject. You don't have enough concurrent viewers for us to justify giving you this
Yeah.
PC.
And I think the thing is that annoyed everybody was he was practically changing the giveaway rules
There and then.
on the
On the
fly.
fly.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't
Which,
changing.
is
He was
illegal.
defining the rules there and then because
Fine.
there was no legal definition of what the actual rules were. This is where things get interesting because for the fault of them doing what they can to not give out this PC to someone they didn't want to, it's resulted in Artisan Builds no longer trading. They have ceased to operate as a company and entity. Why, ask you?
They speedrun their company into the ground.
Because they got slapped by the government because, of course, they weren't paying taxes on these things to the government.
They somehow managed to get away with not paying taxes and got utterly slapped for it.
They also were breaking, of course, the rules by not clearly defining the rules of the contest.
Yeah, there are very, very strict gambling rules in the United States.
Yeah.
Very, very strict.
If I remember correctly, it was your boy Deadly Slob.
It was. I have two boys, Deadly Slob.
Yeah.
The other, it was One Peg who brought this.
Yes,
news
sorry.
to the world.
One Peg was the guy who brought it up. I remember it was one of. I was one of the guys you modded for.
When are you boys?
Let me.
Yeah, one of my boys even had a couple of articles written about him breaking the news, which was fun to read.
It was. Artisan Builds, what a shitty way to do business. And quite frankly, I'm glad they're gone. And if you bought a computer from them, I can only apologize.
Apparently, some people who had gotten some of these giveaway PCs from Artisan Builds were saying they actually had overheating issues because
myriad issues.
They were underclocked as well. They were built so shittily.
Yeah, they were shoddily built, they were underclocked, they were actually atrociously put together. And some people, so for example, large Twitch streamer Pestily, hadn't even received his units for a charity giveaway. And now he's never going to get them because the company has ceased to trade, as it were.
Yeah. There is a good ending to the story though, because Kia Pia did get her PC built by somebody else for free.
For free, and by a proper pucker builder, from what I recall. I can't remember the person's name, but I do remember. I was watching their video, so so there is a happy ending to it. And in fact, if anything, I think it's a happier ending that the company just no longer exists, really. I feel sad about the people who work there, and I'm terribly sorry for them, but your boss was a bit of an arsehole. So
your boss was a prick, and at least a lot of gaming builders came out of the woodwork to say, we have positions open if you don't mind moving.
Yeah, I think from what I've heard, they actually tried to stop their CEO from nosediving their company into the dirt. But
well, I mean, because the CEO did so much noise around the company, suddenly people started taking interest in the company, and all kind of dirt came up to the surface.
He did three fucking apologies on Twitter,
which weren't apology videos.
None of them were.
It was that. I mean, your apologies in like YouTuber apology thing, and it was just so fucking funny. Well, not funny for the employees, but funny to just watch that guy just be fucking.
It was looking at his apology videos. It was a lot of talk about and not a lot of action about what they're going to do.
And Kia got picked up by Cooler Masters.
There you go.
PC builders.
Honestly, regarding the employees of Artisan Builds, because all those other PC building companies were like, you ex-Artisan Builds, we're taking no questions asked. They actually benefited a lot on not working for a shitty company and now moving relatively easily to another company. It would be very, very hard to be with.
Yeah, and one of the larger profile PC builders that were taking members were Meta PCs. They're another company that was you work for them, come to us, we'll take you.
Yeah, I think I remember
formerly known as Facebook PCs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember them. I think offering their services for Kia Pia, if I'm correctly. But
yeah, they did offer at one point as well. She went with the other guys.
Moving on, Forbes released an article talking about how interest in NFTs and the metaverse is falling fast. Which, aside from the thing we mentioned earlier, there's been a lot of less NFTs in the news as of late, and Forbes picked up on that, and so they believe that the NFT craze was kind of reached its peak in January and February, is now starting to nosedive, and part of that comes to do with the backlash that comes along. Nearly every single... Go on.
Yeah, and a large part of them just being fucking scams as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because whenever a company would announce they're doing an NFT, they would immediately get slapped by the community, the gaming community, because rightfully so, you know.
But honestly, this always have been the sort of scammy investment bubble, and you cannot have that running for a long time. You can run it for as long as you gain all the money you can, and then you have to drop it and run. And this is exactly what's happening. People are just, they've gotten all the money they wanted. Now it can just die.
Yeah, unfortunately for some people getting the NFT marketplace, it's not going quite as well as they'd hoped. For example, the developers of the Poppy Playtime games.
Oh, yes.
They released a series of 50,000 NFTs, which actually contain story points to the game story, which is a shitty business model, but people obviously weren't into it because they only sold a couple of hundred.
Haha.
And then one person bought one entire set just to get it out there. And they went, look, here's all the story points. Here they are.
Yes.
Have fun with them.
Of course. Excellent.
So
good man.
People are realizing that it's a massive fucking scam.
They've still done better than other development companies that released NFTs and 15 were bought. So a couple of hundred is pretty good.
50,000, that kind of shows that there's no interest.
I'm kind of glad that NFTs are going the way of the dinosaur within the gaming community, at the very least. The gaming community...
And I shall celebrate when its fucking coffin hits the ground.
Me too, because it just seems to be that every company was trying to find a way to get NFTs involved because they realized how much of a moneymaker it could be. But it was a quick influx of cash versus the longevity and also the effectively the optics, because people did not like it. And I think they've just realized that the negative backlash is not worth the payday at the end of the day.
I mean, even EA was like, maybe not. Maybe not.
When EA is starting to think like, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Yeah,
that's when you realize
you fucked up.
Yeah.
EA was just like, we're looking at it, but we're not. It doesn't look good, so we're just going to stay here.
At that point, Ubisoft and all that should have gone, oh, fuck.
I'm sorry, EA, are you feeling all right? It's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm staying out of this shit.
EA's like, this doesn't give us a sense of pride and accomplishment.
I mean, I will say this, and I'll say this quite openly. I don't think EA, they're not as bad as they used to be. They're not amazing, but I will say that in the last few years, I've not had anything bad to say about EA games. Ever since the whole debacle with Battlefront, if I'm honest. It's mostly been Ubisoft, Activision, Blizzard, and all this lark that's come out.
Yeah, the only bad things we can really say about EA right now is the fact that they tried to put out a game that just wasn't ready in Battlefield.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they haven't done anything particularly offensive.
Yeah, they've been. I think the thing is, I think what happened with Activision-Blizzard was basically like
overshadowing everything.
Yeah, EA was just like, Jesus Christ, you kill people, but no, that's an allegation. Don't. That's me. That's not a thing that Activision actually did. That's just an allegation.
Speaking of allegations, on that note, Activision continues to be shit. A fresh allegation surfaced against them, and they're also being sued by the family of one employee who committed suicide on a work trip.
This is the same employee that was mentioned that people. It's implied that they committed suicide because of sexual harassment on this work trip, and now they're being sued by that family, which all I could say is good.
Yeah. I wish them luck. I wish them luck, if I'm quite honest. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I had a thought that maybe it was dying down, and Activision would maybe just like pull their socks up, but no, you guys had to just.
Continuing the kind of sad news, allegations have been made against Annapurna Interactive and 3 indie devs of the former, failing to handle complaints of emotional abuse by the latter.
So basically, there have been 3 main people from 3 separate indie devs that are under the umbrella of Annapurna Interactive, and basically these 3 devs of differing companies have been emotionally abusing their staff, and when people went to Annapurna Interactive, Annapurna kind of didn't really help at all, and it's not great.
No, it's
basically.
not great.
Yeah.
And I think it shows more that abuse is like it's in the industry from top to bottom, and we can't let indie devs sort of walk away from it as well.
Yeah, it's like some patterns of behavior correlate with certain stress-related jobs in the industry. So
I'm gonna have to.
we'll see quite a bit of that.
I'm gonna have to be cynical at this point and say that I really wish I could. I believe that we could solve that, Shadow. There's just one big problem, and that is we can't. Because because we're allowing a CEO to walk away untouched. What can we bring anyone to task if a CEO for a company can walk away untouched from sorts of shit?
I still think that we shouldn't, though.
I agree. I agree. It's more a case of it's the cynical part of me is like, we can't bring a CEO to task, let alone if we can't do that, then if we can't, come on, we've got to.
What can we do?
Yeah, we need to do something.
That doesn't mean we shouldn't try.
Oh yeah, we should try. We should fucking try. We should fucking try. And I just, God, it just makes me so angry when I think of Kotick.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, especially if there would be some kind of regulations that would allow you to do some kind of actions against CEOs and people up top based on that behavior, or that will regulate, because with Annapurna, the other issue is Annapurna is just a publisher of the games, and it's really hard to say where responsibility lies. They wouldn't try to have anything to do with that if there was some kind of regulation, if there was some kind of guidelines of what they could do and what they should do. Because it was just left to the devices.
Yes, it was omitted in the YouTube video, I think by People Design Games, if I remember that YouTube channel. They did admit that sometimes Annapurna's hands were tied because how much do you get involved in the goings on of a dev team? Yes, but I think it was more that Annapurna was kind of wishy-washy on what they were doing and seemed to look like they were helping and then wouldn't, sort of thing. But I think the main problem here is that we have a tendency, the gaming industry as a whole has a tendency to put devs on pedestals, and I think that's a society thing as well. So it's not restricted to the video game industry, but I think there's a wider consideration that needs to be made of like, we need to be careful. I understand why we do that, because some people can be amazing, but we see what happens when allegations are made against these people, and basically, as I put in my notes, what happens when they misbehave? Will people have the confidence to speak out against them, kind of thing? So we need to balance between saying, like, give devs the recognition for their work and raise them up, but also we've got to also empower people to say, hey, this person who is a public figure is also being a shitlord as well.
Yeah, we have to basically the long and short of it. We need to stop deifying people.
Yes.
We need to start treating the person who made that game you really, really like, he's infallible. No, Fuck that. He's human.
He's human.
That
Yeah,
person is a
exactly.
human being.
Yeah,
If they're a scummy human being that made a good piece of art, they made a good piece of art. Well done. They're still scummy.
yeah,
Hell,
exactly.
I love Fez. I think Fez is a great game. I also think that Phil Fish is an asshole. You know,
Oh god, yeah,
come on.
I like the Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah.
yeah, and we're not. Yeah. And we are not.
We're not touching. We're not touching Potter with a barge pole.
Yeah.
We're not touching Potter with a barge pole at the moment. We will handle that when we handle it.
Yeah.
There will be a time.
There'll be a time.
There'll be a time.
It'll be
Not now.
It'll be around the release date of that game, I imagine. That's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Of the game whose name is not spoken.
Yeah, we are intentionally avoiding that topic for good reasons.
Because it will take up the entirety of this whole thing.
Yeah, so there's probably going to be an episode especially devoted to that in the future.
Yes.
Speaking of lawsuits, regarding Activision-Blizzard lawsuit, Take-Two has been smacked with one in the presence of loot boxes in its NBA 2K games and the virtual currency it uses for players to purchase it. All right then. So they're facing a lawsuit. Do you know what the details are that's regarding the Shadow?
Give me a second. I can find that out for you if Firefox would like to open the thing. Yes, I think it's about basically the plaintiff is a minor. The nature of the virtual currency itself is an issue according to the suit because it distances the player psychologically from the amount of real money they've sunk into the game by disconnecting the expenditure of real money from the products the players end up purchasing with their VC. This is especially the case for minors who may not have a firm understanding of the correlation between the amount of real world money and the VC sent, the suit states. These transactions are particularly costly as the player has already spent up to $99.99 to purchase the base game and then is compelled to complete microtransactions, further increasing their total cost to an exorbitant price to pay.
I don't mind. I'm gonna go. I don't mind microtransactions if they're in a game that's like 20 quid. Or if it's a free game. Yeah,
fine.
sure.
Go ahead.
Like once you start getting into like £50, I'm like, you shouldn't be in there. When you're talking about like the WWE game that I recently purchased, which I spent £100 on, that has microtransactions in one of its modes, not all of it. I will give it credit, but at the same time, I paid £100 for this game. What the fuck am I?
A lot of people paid £100 for this game.
Yeah. What the fuck am I paying for more content in this game for? And
I think.
Go on.
Yeah, I think that it's mostly linked with the loot boxes because it says at the bottom here the plaintiff in the case is a minor represented by their guardian who is seeking to have the suit certified as a class action. So I have a horrible feeling that this minor has lost a lot of money and has
opening boxes.
Probably put their family in debt.
Exactly. To quote about the loot boxes, they are luring players into making more and more purchases on the off chance that the next loot box will contain the item or player card they are seeking.
Yeah, and
that's what it is.
Because you're buying V-Bucks, because you're buying their virtual currency, you don't realize, there's been tons of, stories, times that have happened.
You don't realize how much money you're spending.
A child has just been pressing the button to get more V-Bucks. Not realizing that they're spending their parents' money.
And that's still not regulated the way that all other gambling venues are regulated.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that anymore.
Sorry, Burr.
So I just wanted to make a reference because I don't know about casinos in Europe and the US. In Japan, the pachinko parlors work exactly like that. You buy the balls for actual currency, and then you can use the balls as in-game currency in the parlor. So it's pretty much the same thing. You don't see the money itself; you see the balls that you drop in the machines.
But isn't that like
it's all gambling mentality?
Yes,
But it's still regulated. It's still regulated. If you're a minor, you cannot go play the pachinko, even with a guardian. There's still a lot of regulations regarding that.
There's a lot.
There's regulations specifically there to prevent kids
Yes.
from getting into this. Not so much in video games, though.
I
and
can't-
that's
Yeah,
the
because
problem we've
video
got.
games just
No.
I can't recall what the odds are, but I've worked in a board gaming store and card gaming store. I do know that in certain packs of Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and such, there is like a guaranteed amount of there's bound to be at least X number of rares, X number of this, X number of that if you buy an entire box. In my opinion, in the gaming sphere, we've got none of that.
No.
We've got none of that information of like, okay, so if I buy this, what are the odds I'm going to get this compared to this? Well, and the developers don't want to tell us that because it's in the developers' favor to keep it as blatantly obscure as possible to make sure that effectively we can't game the system. And there isn't anything like the appropriate of that. Like, I want to buy a big box so I can guarantee I want to get something I want out of it. Because it is gambling.
I might be wrong, but according to at least some regulations, whenever there's a randomness in something like that, you are supposed to publish the information about what are the odds, but they are not shown in the game. They would be shown somewhere, but that would be
they're
more like
obfuscating it in
somewhere
because
on page
I think
300.
Overwatch started doing that at some point.
It's like on page 327 in the EULA or something like that.
But
so it's there, but you don't. It's not right in your
Nobody
face.
will ever see it.
The thing which annoys me, and it's about the loopholes that exist in this, because I'm gonna compare it to the best thing I know, which is I play Star Trek Online, and there are some ships that you can only get in what effectively are boxes. You get boxes by taking part in missions, but you buy keys to unlock boxes, and in the box, when you open it, you're bound to get something out of it. There's also a research and development packs you can get. Now, for the research development packs, there is the chance by buying these that you would get the chance of winning a very, very rare ship, like one that you can't get any other way. Now, here's the thing. The way they get around it is you're not buying the pack for that chance, because the chance is a bonus. It's a bonus that's being offered. It's not what you're buying the pack for. You're buying the pack because you want those research and development stuff, don't you? Even though they're completely useless and have no purpose in the game whatsoever at this point, and you've already got all you can deal with. But you don't really. The bonus is just something extra that's on top, and because it's a bonus, they get away with it. And I just don't like that one bit. I think it's scummy and it's awful.
Yeah. As somebody who plays MMO, and I think I've had to admit this to myself, I have an addictive personality because I've played MMOs for a very long time, and I've seen behaviors in myself that show this. It's kind of like drop rates in a way. Like, I used to go mount hunting on WoW, and there would be this particular mount. There's this mount that I still don't have to this day, and I'm still really salty about it. Where I have to kill the specific boss in this specific difficulty, which I can solo now. It's been so long, and the chance to get this specific mount is about, I think it's like, I don't know. I think the only way that you can get the drop rates are not published. You just get you basically get the loot table, which is like, this is everything that can drop, but you're never told what the drop rate is. So the only way that people have got the drop rates is through data mining and constantly just doing the boss again, and then running it through a simulation to see what the percentage would be. But this mount drop rate is about like 1% sort of thing, and you can only and you can only do this specific boss fight once a week.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And
so
the
it's not
thing
like you can even grind it.
Yeah, that's 2 years worth of grind if you're lucky.
Yeah. Or if you're unlucky, you just never see the fucking thing. And recently, well, relatively recently, as of the Legion expansion, which was 2018, 17, I think it's somewhere around that, just before 2019. They had a thing called good luck protection, where if you did basically, you could get legendary items, which would be, you know, kind of like the best in slot kind of thing. That's not exactly what that means. I'm probably going to have hardcore WoW raiders right on my ass for saying that, but just
Yeah.
to explain it like this, basically they're really good items for your current class / spec, whatever. And for every time that you opened a box and you didn't get a legendary, well, if you had like it's difficult to explain, but you would get these chests after, like, if you did dailies, and every time you didn't get a legendary out of this chest, the percentage that you would get the legendary in the next box would increase and increase and increase until you finally got the legendary, and then it would reset before it would build up again, and it would keep doing that until you had found all the legendaries. Now, that is a system I quite like, because that means that even though you're still shackled to RNG,
Mm.
Your
the
chance
game
increases.
basically says, "Oh, bad luck, but maybe next time," kind of thing. That's
Yeah.
really bad for somebody with an addictive personality like mine, because it's kind of like, "Oh, I've just got to go back again and again and again and again."
Yeah,
But the
there's a
thing
similar
is,
system in Rainbow Six Siege with their packs.
yeah, but at the same time, it's also the game compromising with me, saying, "Okay, I didn't give it to you that time, but I'll give it to you another time, and eventually
Mm.
my chance increases to the point where I will get it." Now,
Yeah.
the thing is, the problem with that system is it means I know that the house is messing with their rules, and that's the problem. We don't know what the house has got here,
Yeah.
and the thing is, it's extremely dangerous, especially for minors, because, I mean, it took me a long time to realize that I have this problem. I mean, I've not got an addiction. I just know I've got a personality that lends me into these
Yeah,
thought patterns.
that
But
you know
for a
you could
child,
easily get addicted.
yeah, but for a child
Mm.
Yeah.
who
Not gonna reverse it.
doesn't,
Yeah.
it's like, that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an adult. I understand the reason I stopped playing Overwatch was because I have an addictive personality, and I knew that if I didn't stop, I would keep buying loot boxes.
Yeah.
A child
same.
doesn't have that self-awareness to stop.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, is that because it's a digital product as well, there's it's so easy for it to be manipulated in many
Yep.
ways. And the idea
Yeah.
that once a company prints a certain number of Pokemon cards and release those boxes are out there in the wild. They can't mess with it. They can't suddenly go, well, those rares are coming for a lot. Let's just increase the rarity of that, shall we? You know, and that's what it's so easy. And like, and I part of me feels like I want to lean over the desk and be like, what are you guys doing behind that desk? Are you fiddling and fudging numbers? And if you're not, how do I know you're not?
Yeah.
I've got to trust you. I can trust you about as far as I can fucking throw your building. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
And
this is for me. This is easily in my head. Is example by Escape from Tarkov once again, where by raid, I could run one raid, and the loot that happens in that instance is as it is. But in the background, BSG could go increase the loot, increase the drop rate of this item, or decrease the drop rate of that item. Within moments, every raid that happens from that point has more or less of those items.
yeah, and
They do this regularly, so that's definitely a thing that can happen.
yeah, and the last thing I'll say about MMOs, I promise, is that
Please go on.
you don't know. I'm like, this is, I hold my hands up. This is entirely conspiracy theory, but the amount of metrics that an MMO tracks and how you play, I have a sneaking suspicion, because one time I stopped playing WoW for quite some time. I came back for like the first day, and I went, okay, this raid has reset. I really want this particular amount. It's only literally one boss, so I thought I'll just go in, play it, just get the drop, to get the drop. I probably won't be the
Let me
mount.
guess. Suddenly Blizzard were making it rain for you.
Yeah, the first thing, and that was the first time I'd ever done that boss in a long time, and it dropped, and I just sat there, and forever I've always thought that, I mean, I can't prove this, like I
You
said,
can't prove it, yeah.
it's entirely conspiracy theory, but I thought, what if they know, what if they can track my metrics, and the longer I play, the more the RNG, the more it shrinks.
actually,
because now I know that they can manipulate these things. I can't trust them anymore.
Yeah, they can switch drop rates.
I also was,
Yeah.
I was thinking in the reverse that because you were back, they're like, we need to entice you to keep playing. Let's give us something nice and shiny. You know?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Exactly.
Yes,
That's the
yes.
thing. It's like the first. Oh, she's back for the first time in a long period of time. Let's just fudge those numbers, shall we?
Yeah,
just
exactly.
just make it
Oh.
good. This really rare mount first time, and I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
like,
this is first time she's been on in 2 months.
You're,
Let's give her something nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yes,
she'll,
yeah.
yeah. And I just,
Then she'll keep playing
yeah,
You're,
exactly.
you're
And pay.
saying yeah.
and
You're
paying.
saying conspiracy theory, but I'm saying a while ago, Activision. I don't remember whether it leaked or whether it was published. Or whether it
Oh,
was
that was
a
Sony, wasn't
patent.
it? Yeah, Sony
Yeah.
patented a thing where
Yes.
where they patented a system where it would match you up with players with people who were significantly stronger than you, but
Yeah.
had pay to they had
Mm,
microtransaction items on them,
yeah. Yeah.
and basically were like, well, you could be this powerful if you just slipped us a dollar.
It might be a Mandela effect. I thought it was Activision.
I thought it was
But-
Activision. Well, who cares? The
thought it
point
was-
is
Yeah.
someone came up with a
Yeah.
system,
Yes.
and it's a shitty. It's a
Yeah, and they're
fucking-
fiddling like that. Yeah, and when
Yeah.
you buy when you yourself buy a microtransaction gun, then for a while it's gonna be much stronger than it normally is, so that you can see, oh, this purchase really paid off. I'm gonna make another one soon.
That's the
Yeah.
danger. Is that, and again, it's because we can't trust these companies, and
Yeah.
Nope.
people will say that they do it all the time. And I'm going to point to GTA on this one because GTA, the money you earn in GTA is your resource. It's so easy, and I think they've done it in the past where they've lowered payouts for missions before because they realized it was efficient for someone just to run them and just repeat them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what? Actually, Activision-Blizzard did that for gold missions in WoW.
Yeah,
They literally did that, and it was just like, you son of a bitches.
yeah. Which
Yeah, remind me to check. Like I've still got Grand Theft Auto installed. I'm gonna have to run that solo raid. You know the can't remember what they're called. You know, robberies
Heists.
that you can do. The heists.
Nice.
There's a heist you can do solo. And I remember exactly how much money you can make off of it. It's roughly between 800 to 1.2 million you can make off of it. I'm going to run that again tomorrow, maybe, sometime soon, and see how much I can make on 1 or 2 tries.
I'd be
And see if it's
fascinated
any
here because, like I say, I have no proof, and of course we're never going to find proof. But I just can't believe these companies are just letting it lie. They're definitely fudging the numbers, and I know that
Oh, yeah.
if a company was to be found out, they would say, "Well, it's in the terms and conditions that we can change whatever we want at any point." That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it
it's just like,
right. It doesn't- you know.
it was just a patch. It was just a patch, guys.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just bug
It's
fixing.
just a patch, bro.
It's just a patch, bro. which I can't help but notice, Rockstar, that you tend to patch out things that you patch out. There are some bugs in GTA 5 that existed since time immemorial, since it's first released, and they've never been patched. Yet suddenly, when someone finds an exploit to get money, suddenly that is mysteriously and very easily and quickly patched out. It's mysterious. It's almost
We
like
can't have you having fun here.
yeah.
No.
Like one time playing GTA, I actually found a money hacker who was just running around dropping like high value items for people. And I didn't take any of the money, but I was watching him, and it took about 15 minutes for the guy to get banned.
Yeah, you would do.
It's like gone.
Speaking of GTA, I'm going to start shitting on them now because it
Yes,
was announced
go off,
earlier
King.
this week.
Yeah.
Go on,
Because of course,
King.
first of all, the
Let the hate flow through you.
GTA 5 released this month on PlayStation 5 and Xbox, the Xbox Series X, I think is what it is.
Oh, again?
Yeah, it was just,
It's getting more populous than Skyrim. Bloody hell.
let's not exaggerate. Let's not exaggerate.
But yeah, PS2 had 3 GTAs. GTA 5 has 3 has 3 PlayStations.
But the point I'm making is first of all, one, they dropped the subtitle, the definitive edition, or the the expanded and enhanced subtitle. They dropped that subtitle from the game, perhaps because people were calling them out on the fact that the game wasn't expanded and enhanced.
It wasn't expanded or enhanced.
And because
doing the equivalent of stuffing socks down its pants.
And because they like controversy, they decided to announce this week that they're gonna apply a subscription-based service to their system, which is optional. It is optional. You don't have to.
Bullshit.
It is.
Optional.
It is optional. You don't have to buy it, Lemming. However, here's what you get for buying it: for $5.99 a month. So I imagine that's probably about a couple of quid for us in the UK, or because it's Rockstar, probably $5.99 because fuck you.
Fuck us.
Fuck us. And this provides subscribers with a recurring monthly bank deposit of 500,000 GTA dollars, ensuring players have plenty of cash to spend on their online open world. There'll also be a wide range of member-only bonuses, including exclusive properties, vehicles, upgrades, discounts, and cash and RP bonuses. That's effectively Rockstar points. Rockstar mentions that there will be an ability to unlock gameplay updates that you may have missed out on, suggesting that previously time-limited content may be accessible with GTA Plus. So the first month will expand from March 29th, today, through to April 27th. Will provide the following $500,000, GTA dollars, available to withdraw from your Maze bank account. The Principal Devastate 8, a supercar that comes with a How Special Works upgrade. The Auto Shop property. Wavered Ellis Car Meet membership fees. Yacht owners can upgrade to the Aquarius Super Yacht at no additional cost. The Gusset Frog Tea and Proper Prolapse Baseball Top and Tea. Conveyor livery, 3 times RTA cash, and 2 times car meet rep. Now, I just like all this, because here's what I'm thinking. $500,000 in GTA dollars gets you fuck all.
Pretty much, yeah. You can buy maybe a decent range car and upgrade it slightly.
You could probably buy a biker business. You could probably buy a biker business for that, but you can't upgrade it. So you could invest it to earn more money, but most cars cost about $3 million, and like the super
all of the ones you actually want.
All the ones you actually want cost about $6 million. So already you're basically saying, well, you're getting nothing. Now whether or not if they allow you to purchase the properties at a discount, I don't know, but I just don't like the way they are literally crowbarring a paid subscription service in something that doesn't need a paid subscription service.
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind on this entire subject is very simple. What happens if you start the subscription, get your free building, get your free upgrades, get all that stuff,
and then you stop?
And then stop. Yeah. What happens to like this free house and car that you get? Do you still have them? You've already given them your money. What's going to happen then? You're not paying them anymore.
Yeah, is it described somewhere in the agreement for the subscription?
No, but I imagine if they're offering a unique car every month, if you've paid them the money, you pay them the money.
The
one
thing
go on.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, please go on.
I was going to say the one thing that I don't like is the implication you might be able to get the timed rewards if you subscribe. That's like oh god,
FOMO.
going back to MMOs. The fear of missing out. Oh god, we're going back to MMOs. I'm so sorry.
Hey, it's what you know best, so go for it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I have always had a horrible I'm probably one of the minorities here, but I do not like timed items and stuff like that. I absolutely abhor it. Yep. And people are going to be saying, yeah, but it shows you were there at the time, and it shows.
Don't give a crap.
Who gives a shit?
I don't care. I literally don't care, because there are things that are really pretty cosmetic things in WoW that I really want. I can't fucking get them anymore. Yeah. I can never get them anymore. And that makes me so angry. And people are just like, well, you had to be there, kind of thing.
I mean, look at all the games that are running in seasons now.
It's just like, I'm sorry I wasn't an adult with my own income when Vanilla WoW was released. I'm very, very sorry. sort of
And
thing.
look at games like Apex Legends and Fortnite, who have seasons with stuff that's only available during those seasons.
Yeah, no, I'm like part of the reason why I never go back to RuneScape is because I know they had like specific rewards you would get if you were at a certain event at a certain time in that year. Like you'd have a specific Christmas award, Christmas reward, or Easter reward, da da da. And they were all really cool and really good. But the thing is, I'm so behind. Like I'm so behind now. I don't even want to go in there because people are going to start using things, and I'll be like, I really want that. And I can't get it.
That's what I kind of, funny enough, I kind of liked about GTA Online because they'd have the same stuff available every 4th of July, every Christmas, everything.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So I personally, I would have it as kind of like, okay, so every time this event comes back, you get a new type of cosmetic, but if you take part in it, you can get the
you
previous
get the
ones
previous
as
ones,
well.
yeah.
That's what I would like.
Yeah.
So, but they're just like, no, you had to be there on a specific date.
It's,
You can't time travel, get fucked.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
just
I
like,
mean,
nah,
yeah,
sucks, man.
alternatively on the right dates in the right time, those cosmetics, those elements could be cheaper, and they would be available all year, but for like regular price.
yeah,
Yeah,
I am perfectly for that. If I have to pay more just to get something which I can't get out of season, I'm perfectly willing to do that.
yeah,
because-
because
Let me buy the thing rather than make me use arbitrary like scores in order
and
to
time
get it.
restrictions, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
when I was still playing Overwatch, I had the same thing as Shadow was describing, where there would be costumes that would be amazing and only
in loot
available.
boxes.
In loot boxes on those particular types. So you either have to pay a fuck ton of money to Activision, or you have to play a shit ton of hours and
Yeah,
earn
you
those
either
loot
no
boxes.
life it or no
Yeah.
wallet it. That was it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't get them.
Yeah, exactly. And WoW actually did something similar. They have the black market auction house where if you find that specific NPC, you find this auction. You find this auction house, which is basically these are really rare items that you cannot get anymore. Usually for a shit ton of money, like loads of in-game money. And basically, you have to fight an auction against everybody else to try and get these items, which I don't like because it emphasizes people with like a lot of money in game. But at the same time, it's kind of fair in that you can still get it, if it's up for grabs, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like it's okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
fair enough,
Still don't like it, but understandable.
Yeah, one game that really confuses me by the inclusion of time-limited skins and unlockables by, if you play the game a lot, you can unlock. Thankfully, there's no microtransactions involved. You just need to play the game to unlock everything within this certain time frame. The only problem I have with it is it's a story-based game. Doom Eternal has seasons for unlocking cosmetics.
But why?
Why?
Why? Why does that exist?
Yeah.
The current event is going on for spring and ends May the 26th, which is a long time. But I'm not going to no-life a single player game to unlock one of my enemies in a what's lumberjack skin.
Tangent.
Yeah.
Tangent. Also, can we also get over the whole idea of, because people keep saying, I'm okay with microtransactions so long as, loot boxes, as long as it's just cosmetics. And my response is, no, fuck you. Cosmetics are also fucking important to people.
Yeah, exactly.
There are people who want to finish the game, and if there are cosmetics in the game, that generally includes getting all of the cosmetics. And if they're loot box only, then you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's why I was playing Overwatch. I wanted to unlock everything.
Yeah. Do you know why the most annoying fucking boss in the entirety of fucking WoW once a week, every week, for like a whole year? Because I wanted a particular mount that looked really, really nice. And I know that's not a loot box. I mean, I also paid a lot of money in the Old Republic to get a specific mount, which was Varactyl. Because I like Varactyls.
People are just always keen to be like, naturally,
it's
just cosmetics. Yeah, well, cosmetics mean something, and I think people, like, you're setting up a tier where, okay, gameplay mechanics and things, naturally we can't have that stuff there. Oh, but cosmetics are fine. No, let's just say, loot box, get the fuck out of here. We don't need you.
Well, that's absolutely still a mechanics to prey on you.
Prey on you. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially if you are prone to have problems with addictions, with FOMO, with gambling, etc., they will relentlessly and without any mercy prey on you and on your mind. So they should go where the sun doesn't shine.
Yeah, I will admit this is also a thing with like microtransaction as well. For me, especially, even if it's not a loot box, like whenever we go to Sea of Thieves, I can see that premium currency at the bottom on the Xbox Live Store, and I can hear that little voice going,
I'm
"Yeah,
less.
but
I'm less.
you really want to parrot, don't you, Shadow? Just
I'm.
just a little bit of money."
I can forgive premium stuff like that because at least with that I know what I'm buying if I want to buy something.
There is predatory pricing in premium currency as well.
Though
That's
there
another.
is.
That's another level.
That's
But
another discussion.
It still is a bit more fair. It's still a bit more like, there's no strings attached. There's no FOMO. There's no thing like that.
Yeah.
There might come a time. There might come my birthday or end of the year, Christmas or something.
You might treat yourself.
Yeah, I might I'll treat myself.
Yeah.
And buy myself a parrot or a doggo. Oh, I want a doggo.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm completely okay if basically they took all the rewards out of the loot box and just put them as microtransactions. I would be completely okay with that. I mean, I still would grumble a bit because of course,
naturally.
But it's like at least I can guaranteed get this thing if I pay X amount of money. It doesn't,
Hell,
you could have it a case of it's a seasonal thing. They're here for a certain time because that idea is fine for the most part. They're here for a certain time. If you grind, you can earn them in game, and then after the season, if you want them,
I've always been a fan of options. Like I'm perfectly fine with loot boxes if you have the option just to buy what you want outright, but at an inflated cost. So, for example, if you could be like, okay, you can spend £1, a chance that you can get what you want, or you can spend £10 and get exactly what you want.
Exactly.
I would still not be a fan of loot boxes because they still would prey on the fallacies.
I agree.
Like the gamblers.
We're looking at compromise here.
Because the loot box is not going away. Loot box is not going away.
Yeah, I think
unfortunately none of that is.
Yeah, I think my main thing is like to games now, do not waste my time.
Yeah.
I've got no more capacity for my time being wasted at the moment.
I can't.
Either give me the fucking cosmetic. Give me the ability to get this fucking cosmetic that I want, or fuck off, kind of thing.
That's why still my favorite game of the last 5 years is still Ace Combat 7. Because you play it, you're in the action. You do things, you unlock the aircraft. You unlock more skins for the aircraft.
Yeah, exactly.
The set things you have to do for each of the aircraft's special colours. That's it.
Let's go on.
No. I was just saying. It's basically just reiterating.
Let's move the topic along to the final news thing, then we'll get on to the topic of tonight's conversation, which is one which I was pleased to reveal today, which is the PlayStation have revealed their revampment of the PlayStation Plus system. What was codenamed Project Spartacus behind the scenes, and it's been rumored about for so long, has now officially been announced by them. PlayStation Now, thing of the past. PlayStation Plus is now what it is. However, there's now going to be a tiered system, which is PlayStation Plus Essential, which is what you have now if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber. So basically, access to online games, 2 monthly downloadable games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage for saved games, and the normal online multiplayer access. Same cost, that's not changing. They're now adding 2 more tiers beyond that. There's PlayStation Plus Extra, which provides all the benefits from the Essential tier and adds a catalogue of 400 of the most enjoyable PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalogue and third-party partners. Games in the Extra tier are downloadable for play. So they're not streamed, they are actual downloadable titles.
So what they're saying is we've produced a system attempting to be on par with Xbox.
Kind of, yes, very close.
They,
In fact,
they want something to be half what they
Yeah,
had and a half.
let
Game Pass.
eBay finish
Yeah.
first.
that
please.
price point is at $10.99, which is competitive with the Game Pass for what it is. It is worth stating that they've also stated that the first games that will be in there, that they've stated that they want at launch, they plan to include Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man's Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal as options. So very good lineup there.
Yeah.
They've confirmed that new releases will not be added on there initially, which I think is the one big bad point of that. Which people might be wondering, okay, so that is the same cost as Game Pass, yet there's another tier higher. There
I
is.
think it's slightly higher than Game Pass because I think it's $7. I think I'm paying $7.99 for. Yes. I don't remember.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Sorry, where was I? What?
Yeah. You were saying this is the second tier. New games weren't automatically put onto the thing.
Yes, and that is. I think it's sad that new games aren't released. However, I also get that probably PlayStation are wanting to entice people to actually buy their titles, which I can understand. It's a bit shame that it's not as free as Game Pass, but it is what it is. However, they do have another tier after that. For only a couple of pounds more, it's $13.99 here in the UK, $17.99 in the US, which is the PlayStation Plus Premium. All the previous benefits, but I'm going to smile now because this is exactly what I wanted. Thank you, Sony. Adds up to 340 additional games, including PS3 games that are streamable, and a catalog of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download options for the original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP.
There we go. Hey Nintendo,
Bingo, there we
that's
go.
how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, so basically they've said pretty much if you buy PlayStation Premium, you're not going to get access to the entire library because, of course, there are licensed games and there are rules and things. But pretty much you can play anything from PlayStation 1 all the way up to the 5.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
so-
good. It's a little more
Yeah.
expensive than the Games Pass, but
Yeah.
for what you're getting, that's pretty damn good.
For
Yeah,
legacy
but- yeah,
PlayStation,
yeah.
PS2, and PSP games, that's quite worth it. I'm sad
Yeah,
that
that-
the PS3 ones are streaming only. They're not downloadable, but I'm glad that I'm hoping that this will help them revamp their service to be a bit more better.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
the problem here might be this thing that was cursed from the very beginning, which is PS3 is an architecture unlike anything else,
Yeah.
and this might be the only way because they might have some powerful cell machines, some powerful power PC machines out there that can serve as a servers to emulate that, or actually be the sort of super upped versions of PS3s that are able to stream that.
We still
Otherwise, it's really hard to do anything with PS3.
we still don't know what the breakdown is. However, it is worth stating that those are four consoles and there's 340 additional games. So that means you're looking at about 80 games per console if evenly spread across. We already know there's a massive catalog for PlayStation 1 games. I guarantee you, Crash, Spyro, they'll probably all be there. You can already
This alone is making me go, I might pull my PlayStation 4 out of storage under my bed and actually hook it up and give this a try.
Yeah, because you can still, even to this, and also I'll point out everyone right now, even to this day, you can go on the Vita store and the PlayStation 3 store, and you can still buy PlayStation 1 classic titles to download. So it's no surprise that they're doing this because it's very easy for them to have it. They already have a lot of the games ready to go. It's just the PS2 ones, which they've been dabbling about that in the last few years. They had a couple of PS2 games available for purchase that you could then download, and they're also very well done. No issues with them so far. I'm very pleased with how this. Yes, the cost increase. What are you gonna do? I'm getting.
But also with the PS2, they did have a pretty easy thing to do because they've already had a PS2 on the chip in the original Fatboy PS3s. So they know how to do it, and that was like 99% compatibility with PS2. So it was really good.
Yeah. So
just to clarify a couple of points here on pricing, is the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is the one that's $10.99 a month. If you have it on just PC or just console, it's $7.99 a month.
Okay,
that'd
so
be it then.
that'd be it then. I did know it was much more expensive. And to be fair, I think Xbox benefits and Microsoft benefits from having a PC library.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're talking to just a console library, this is more expensive. I fully admit it is more expensive. But for me, the value I'm getting is also very much there.
If I were
It is-
primarily a PlayStation gamer, I would certainly be getting the premium.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah.
I would
It is
Yeah,
also-
it's certainly
yeah.
competitive. Yeah.
I would even say there's not exactly a competition because it dabbles in a lot of things that the Game Pass does not offer you.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, you know, when you have a rich history like Gibak has with with PlayStation environment, this is absolutely a no-brainer. You can play everything from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 5.
Yeah. That itself is valuable, and what we've been talking about, or what I've been a big proponent of, which is, you know, preservation in some fashion. Not even Microsoft, not even Nintendo offer that. Nintendo offer.
Don't rub it in.
Yeah. I mean, Shadow was absolutely right. See, Nintendo, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and games for free.
Because they only offer NES and whatever. We're still waiting on Game Boy. We're still waiting on GameCube.
Stop it.
No,
so in this case, it's PlayStation that does what Nintendo don't.
It's only do what Nintendo don't.
Crawling in my skin. These wounds they will not heal.
Okay, then. So let's move on to the topic that was actually going to be hosted by Dork tonight, but of course he's no longer here. Scores and reviews. The main topic for tonight. We want to kind of talk about the effects of scores and reviews upon and how it impacts you buying a game. Specifically the way Doctor
I think he meant it regarding Metacritic scores, I think.
He did, yes. So, well, use that as a metric, but effectively Metacritic scores does combine a lot of scores from all over the many different sources. But
and also Metacritic sort of weighs the results.
Yes.
Some outlets would have higher power, higher weight than the others.
Yeah. Do low reviews detract from someone's appeal or want to play a game? That was the question that Doctor phrased, and the one that I'm going to phrase to not just my colleagues, but also the audience. So feel free to join in on the chat.
I think yes.
Yes.
But I think yes. But I tend not to follow scores myself. I tend to read like if I had my way, I would just nix review scores like completely. I think review scores are fucking shit.
They're very arbitrary and don't provide you with information. They just provide you with a number, which is not really someone's 5 is a 6. You know, it's
exactly. But I won't deny that my own biases. Basically, if I see that an aggregate score is pretty low, it will make me think, okay, I'll just put this game further on the back burner. So, you know, I kind of admit my own biases in that respect.
No, I fully will admit that. I did not purchase WWE 2K 2020 based on the reviews because it was a pile of shit.
There you go.
There you go. Jesper?
I mean, from my opinion, the aggregated score, like what Rotten Tomatoes or what Metacritic offer, it's really interesting to sort of gauge the feeling, the general feeling of the public towards something, because a lot of it will be like the reviewer's score would be biased because like a lot of the reviewers would have some good feelings about things, like or would be shown a good version of it, like we had with a Cyberpunk 2077, and at the same time you can just juxtapose it against the score that the general populace gives, and that could tell you also has there been some kind of review bombing happening? Has there been some kind of review buffing happening? What kind of mood people have against it? Because even you can sort of only gauge it, because if you want to know exactly why it happens, you still have to look at those reviews, you have to look at those comments from people, you have to check what exactly people liked about it, what exactly people didn't like about it. And you would have to check some of those written reviews. You'd have to check some of those review videos. So it's still it's not well, it's not useless, but it's just a very general, very rough approximation of what this game could be.
Mm.
Because I would definitely want to, if I was interested in a game, and then suddenly one side gives it like 8 out of 10 and the other side gives it 2 out of 10. I'm really curious what happened,
Yes.
what's going
Yeah.
on. If both sides give it 2 out of 10, I'm even more curious what happened to it. Because there was a
What
game that
happened?
there was a game that was really hyped for. It was called Raven's Cry, and it was supposed to be an awesome pirate game. I was
Oh
fresh.
yes, I think I
I was
remember this.
fresh done with Black Flag, and I was super hyped for pirates. And I wanted this game. Then it flopped horribly. It was getting like 2 out of 10 because it was horrible. It had glitches upon glitches, and it was
It was
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to know why it happens, you still have to get into the exact detailed descriptions, and those could get you up for a game, could get you off a game, could get you wanting even more to see a game. If I can continue, I remember I haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 yet, but I've seen Angry Joe's review of it. And
Yes.
he was horrible about it. I was trying to avoid spoilers, but I've just seen the general gist, and
You know
the
what?
general gist was that it's the worst game ever, and no one should play it, and it's horrible. And Angry Joe was so betrayed that I was like, "Hey, I want to watch it. Now I want to play this game. I want to know what happens."
Yeah, I definitely think scores and reviews definitely do influence my decision to purchase games to an extent. I tend to not think of them as, because a lot of people tend to look at them as like a very absolutist thing. I
Yeah.
try and avoid that. I have them
Mhm.
inform me, and like Shadow said, if a game scores low, but it was one I was very interested in, I might put it on the back burner and like get it at a later date, get it when it's in sale or something. Or if it's one that I'm really invested in, I might even just throw caution to the wind and say, I don't care, I want it.
Yeah, I have found nowadays basically use reviews more as a kind of
They're
more as a kind of way
guidelines
to
than
see.
rules.
Yeah, they're more
Yeah.
and basically, I'm looking to see what the reviewers are commenting on. Like, what's the story like? I'm more using them now for bug checks to sort of say,
Yeah.
this is what kind of problems are here at this point, and this is what I had problems with. And then I'm taking sort of a feel of everything, and I'm going, okay, so people are having problems with that, and these people actually like the story, but these people found it was. This is what I did with Legends Arceus when reviews were coming in and people were commenting on the story and the mechanics that they kind of liked, and I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Oh, you didn't like that, but everybody. And then I'm kind of using it to gauge how much I would probably like it. But the thing is, review, like, the only thing that's better than a review that will always be better than a review is a demo. That's the long and short of it for me.
100%.
It's just like reviews
Yes.
can help, but for me, demos tend to be it for me.
I'd say that's something higher than a demo for me. Demos, they're good, but they give you a vertical slice of the game. But problem is, sometimes they're not entirely true to some aspects of the game.
That is true.
They only offer you a slight. Sorry, what's that?
Sorry, that was an unfortunate brutal legend.
Yeah, of course, yes. Exactly, brutal
As
legend.
much as I enjoyed Brutal Legend, yeah, the bits that weren't in the original demos were messy.
Exactly. So, if a game
That's
decides to change an aspect or introduce aspects later on that I'm not happy about, that can't be helped by the demo's fault. Personal personal endorsements from friends are definitely where what gets me. Like if a friend says,
and when they stream it and how much fun they're having with it as well, definitely.
precisely. I mean, the number of times I've told someone this is a good game, you would like this, and then being like, well, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. And then I keep saying, no, you will like this. I know what kind of games you like. You will like this. And yes, I can see Shadow slowly sinking out of sight as I say this.
No, Shadow and I are guilty of that.
And then they play it and they're like, oh, you were right.
Just a couple of days ago, I was playing a new VR game that I picked up called Ragnarok. And I was playing it in our Discord. And Divot, our friend, mutual friend, the judge, Divot, appeared. I was like, hey, Levy. I was playing away, banging my drums as you do in Ragnarok, because you're a Viking banging war drums as your men and women, as it may be, row your longboat to your next destination to the sound of heavy metal music. And after about 20 minutes, he was like, right, I'm going to leave now because I'm going to buy this game next time I get a paycheck.
I mean, so haven't you also infected him with Tarkov?
A little bit, yeah. I need to play with him more, actually. David, we will play again soon. I promise.
I also want to throw this over.
And I have to also say that this asshole above me, who I say that with the greatest affection, has got me to buy more games on my Steam than anybody else. I still blame you for making me play Evil Genius.
I'm an enabler. What can I say? I want to throw this over to the chat as well, especially Nico, since I saw that Nico was in the chat. I don't know if it's still there, but topic: scores and reviews. Do they influence your decision to purchase or not purchase a game? Or your engagement with it? I mean, I tend to not pay attention to what a lot of people, other than my friends, say these days on games, unless there's someone who I've been watching for a long time. Like, for example, Gerard, the completionist. If Gerard's caddy, got a great example as well. Rosie, people who I know that my opinion meshes well with, and I have a similar kind of opinion of. And even then, sometimes I will be like, I disagree. It's healthy to do that.
You're allowed to disagree.
You're allowed to disagree.
But still, nine times out of 10, you would agree. And
precisely 9 times out of 10, I would agree.
Well, we kind of know our friends. We kind of know what our friends are into, kind of thing. So if somebody's interested in a certain roguelite and they say, hey, this is pretty damn good, I kind of know that that's a good roguelite kind of thing.
And when you watch a lot of someone, a YouTuber, a streamer, you know what they're into. You can gauge how much this fits your own preferences. You can see what kind of humor they have, what kind of things they like, what kind of things they don't like, how professionally they approach to problems of the game, etc. So this helps a lot.
Yeah, and you can also kind of see from if you're not as into a game as somebody else might be, you can kind of see sometimes where the game will meet you halfway just from that person playing it. And you're like, oh, I could kind of get into that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fascinating to kind of look into it. I like you, Shadow. I just disregard actual numbers and just look at like the actual, what are they saying about the game? What is good? What is bad? What's the problems? What's good? And I think there's a tendency within the game industry to want perfection, which perfection is impossible to achieve.
And also, I think a lot of people, not that doesn't happen in our group, but a lot of people are looking at reviews not for a review, but seeking validation.
Yes.
Yeah, they're seeking. I really like this game. You should like it too. Or like, I really hate this game. You should hate it as well. It's just like, that's not what a review is for, darling.
Yeah,
that's
people
an echo
go
chamber.
to the review section and be like, I hated this game. Why do you all enjoy it? It's like, let's enjoy things.
Well, I gotta admit, I initially have something like that when a reviewer that I trust, that I know, that I understand what they're about, starts talking problems about a certain game, but in the end, it boils down to, I like this game, but you make a good point. Maybe I'll rethink. I got out with a game that I really thought was really gorgeous, and I was really hyped for it. And then it turned out to be very lukewarm in all the important parts, mechanical parts, and story parts. There was the game called Biomutant. Don't know if you've seen anything of it.
Yes.
It looked gorgeous, but it's very mediocre in the end.
Oh,
And
that's
I
a
was
shame.
watching a YouTuber that I followed for a long time, and they were saying like they were exactly having the same thoughts as I had. That they were super hyped for his game, and then it disappointed them, and it just it disappointed me as well because I wanted to like this game, and it was a step in the right direction because also it was created in a very nice, hassle-free, crunch-free environment.
Mhm.
But it didn't end up a really great game. But it was a good first attempt. But I wanted it to be an awesome attempt. I wanted to play it because it was gorgeous.
The hindsight is also very important, I think, and like one game I will always die on a hill for is Batman Arkham Knight. I absolutely adore that game. It's not the favorite out of the series. I also will go to fight for Arkham Origins, which is the split that was released, because that game didn't even get a re-release as part of the Arkham collection, which is a travesty to this day. Because it's a decent. Is it perfect? No, it's got flaws as a game, but it was still it was enjoyable as a game for me. Even though reviews at the time were saying, "Oh, it's a bit old hat, it's a bit hashed, it's a bit, it's not, it's more of it really annoys me when a game says it's more of this and that's bad because it's not innovative, and I'm like, sometimes I just want more of that. I don't.
It has an awesome. Sorry.
Yeah, if Sonic just kept to one idea in its 3D run for a long period of time, maybe we wouldn't be in this situation. That's personal.
Yeah,
I mean that's getting entirely into what I was thinking on this whole subject. Is reviews are a tool. It's down to you how you use them. I'm looking at Steam reviews right now, and I use them for many things. I use them for bug checks. If there's lots of negative reviews that say this thing is fucked, then I'll go, maybe not. Yeah. I also use it to gauge how hyped am I about this game. If it's a game that I'm very hyped about and it says, quite positive, I'll temper I'll temper it because that means there's going to be a few negatives in there. But if it's very positive, I'll be like, oh, cool, brilliant. Probably put my money down. Plus, Steam system, I don't use aggregate sites like Metacritic and such. I use the sites I buy it off. For example, Steam, which I'm looking at right now for Sonic Mania's listing, has an interesting system. Recent reviews and overall reviews. And for Sonic Mania, the all reviews is very positive, which as a Sonic game would make me go, cool, buy. The recent reviews are overwhelmingly positive, which makes me go, why are they different? What's happened recently? What has happened after this game came out to give us overwhelmingly positive reviews now? Because this game came out in 2017. It's like, what's happened? And then I look back a couple of years ago, they removed De Novo from it.
Woo!
Yeah.
Instant buy if I hadn't already. Yeah. Yep. What were you going to say before I accidentally
yes, please. No, I just wanted to go back on Batman Origins, but it doesn't matter anymore.
No, please. It does.
I just wanted to say just for the detective mode that they added, and for one boss battle that is awesome, it's worth to play Batman Origins.
Oh yes.
I need to get around to it sometime.
But yeah. You are correct, Lemming. They're a tool to be used. They're not there to be treated as like gospel, which a lot of people tend to do. And they provide a decent indication of it. It does annoy me when I see like a 10 out of 10, because I'm like, it's not perfect. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not perfect, and I get that it's not supposed to reflect perfection, but that's how people read it.
Yeah, the thing is, you can't have a unified grading system because this is not like a education system where you have procedure to how to grade something. That
Mm.
every outlet will have its own methodics of grading, and there will be also this general feeling like for a very long time we've had like a game under 7 is crap and you shouldn't buy it.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, I
And
hate that.
that's
5 is
that's
supposed to be the average.
Yeah,
that
5
What is
is
wrong with
yeah,
people?
halfway.
yeah, that is ridiculous. And it's now we can't go back to the previous system because if people suddenly see games rated 7 to see them rated like 5 or 4, because this is pretty much what they would be. They would be like, it's a proper game. It's a game. That would be something like that. It's a game. It's not great. It's a bit below mediocre, but it's not horrible.
It's
When
average.
people
It
when
exists.
people suddenly see 4, they would think, hold on, does this game fry my computer or something? That they got 4.
Is there like an example people have of a game, their purchase of a game or non-purchase of a game being influenced by reviews?
I'm pretty sure there is one. I've just got to think about it.
Well, the
Not that I
one
can
that
think
they
of when it comes to the actual reviews of
Yeah.
feedback. Yes, actual like opinion pieces on it. Yes, but
Mhm.
not strictly this is this is why you should buy this product. Not so much. No.
Well,
Yeah,
the one that I mentioned before, Biomutant, was a case where I wanted to buy it, and then I decided not to. Because even if it looks great, I didn't want to feel like I'm slogging through a game. So based on that review, I decided to not get it.
I think I got the first Jurassic World Evolution game for the PC. But I think that was more I was using reviews and I was like, "Hey, do I really want this game now?" kind of thing. And
Mm.
it was a case of, "Yeah, I think you should get it." And I don't know whether it was worth it even with hindsight. I don't know. I don't know. I think so. It wasn't what I was after, but it was a good time while I had it. It had it But let me tell you, like day one, Jurassic World Evolution was not great. Very bare bones.
So I'm going to go with what I think is the most cataclysmic example of how this can go. And that is that it's a game that I've been playing, have been playing recently, really enjoying as well. Even though its marketing strategy was awful.
I know what you
and
think. I know.
that is Days Gone.
Oh no, no, completely off the.
Fair enough. What do you think I was going to go for?
I don't know. I thought you were going to pull Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but I think that was
Well,
that's different.
that is another example, but I'm going to go with the most cataclysmic example, which is Days Gone, because it has an overwhelming example of how this actually can affect the industry. And that is the fact that Days Gone, when it was released, it was very much an unknown quantity. It was a brand new kind of thing. It was zombies, which was at that time it was starting to go out of fashion.
Yeah.
And it was reviewed very poorly. Like IGN, which people say, oh, IGN. IGN is who I tend to look at just because I don't know why. I don't know why there's a stigma about IGN. I just always seem to check on their stuff. But yeah, they rated it a 6.5, which by the metrics we just mentioned is related to terrible game. Terrible game. No one should buy it. And I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it back then. And it apparently led to a lot of people not buying it, which then led to the sequel being canned. And bear in mind that the game does finish on a cliffhanger. Major oof there. So that in itself has had a long-lasting effect when if it was just... I don't think it's a terrible game. It's got problems, but it's a pretty decent game. But it did impact my desire to buy it, even though I'm enjoying the game today as it is. And it's such a shame because we could have had a sequel.
Yeah, and I think there is something to be said because some games like No Man's Sky really do pull it out of their ass like later on in life. But But the thing is, when you start to pay for a game, I think that's when the reviews are in their right to start critiquing your game as it is. I think a lot of early access titles are like, oh, why are you reviewing our game? We're not fully out yet. It's just like, yeah, charging for this, bitch. You're charging for this. We gotta review it as a title that you must pay for.
Money has exchanged
Mm.
hands. We're reviewing it as we're playing it. Get on with it.
Yeah. Also with the reviews, I was just thinking about. There's another problem. There's another caveat that if the reviewer doesn't really provide the information about how much time he has spent, how far
That's
he's gone in the
true.
game, it's hard to say how trustworthy it was, because some people would be given a task by the boss, like review those games for till the end of month, and they get 10 games, and they have like 10 hours for each game because they don't have any more time in the month to play. So
Yeah.
for some games they wouldn't get far, and they wouldn't be able to see the proper the vertical slice for those games.
Yeah, I think a lot of these have turned into ongoing reviews, especially for stuff like Elden Ring and stuff like that, because the games are so large now, especially for like MMOs and stuff like that, such as Lost Ark. You've got to have that long period of time to rack up these points in order to speak about them, because you need to get like you feel like you need to get several hours deep in them, and you can't just do like a couple of hours and then throw a review out because you don't feel like you've done a good job. People don't feel like you've done a good job, and randos on the internet will ream you from stem to stern about it because they do.
Yeah, I suppose that's another benefit of the Steam review system, because you can actually see how much they've played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elden Ring is actually a good example, because I'm 60 hours in, and I still feel like this lady that played Breath of the Wild for 60 hours, finished the game, and then played again and accidentally stumbled upon the tutorial dungeon that was teaching her finally how to block, how to parry, how to do all kinds of shit like that.
Did she do the thing where she just climbed out? She just climbed like the wall behind the tutorial guy, just like bye.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I also think that context to the time is also very important, and this is where my next example comes in. I'm going all the way back. Let me take you back to 1997, everyone.
I was small. Even
I was
smaller
also
than I am
small.
now.
I was smaller then as well. It was an article. I don't know what magazine it was in. All I know is the tagline for this was Nintendo versus Sony. And I'm going to read this section of the article verbatim right now, and you can find it if you search it online. If you ever needed proof that the N64 is miles ahead of the 32-bit competition, just compare these shots of the new PlayStation version of Castlevania, whereas the N64 version features fully 3D characters and backgrounds along with dazzling lighting effects. The PlayStation title is a flat 2D platformer game where the tiny hero has to fight big, cheesy monsters. No comparison, really. Well, actually, yes, there is no comparison, because the game which they were talking about,
the N64 version was shit.
the N64 was Castlevania N64, which is what it's referred to these days because it was just called Castlevania, has gone on to be reviled as one of the worst entries in the Castlevania series, while Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a darling kind of the PlayStation and can fetch hundreds and hundreds of pounds for a mint in-box copy because it had such a low production run, because it was reviewed badly, so barely anyone bought it, and the people who did buy it thought, "Oh, this is pretty fucking awesome,"
Yeah.
It's just going to show that context of the time can be fascinating, and how wrong reviewers can be in the long run.
Yeah. Fucking wrecked.
That's it, you're wrecked.
That and that entire thing is what you just read out there reeks of opinionation. As in, the person writing that article saw the two things, was like, that one's shit.
Well, I could tell you for a fact that was a Nintendo magazine, because
It was.
there was because I used to read a lot of Nintendo official magazines when I was quite small, when I was still quite the Nintendo fangirl, and all of them, to the fucking hilt, were arrogant, fucking cocky pieces of shit. Let me tell you that for now.
Drunk on their own
If you
Kool-Aid too.
if you ever wonder why Nintendo fans tend to be so up their own asses, because the magazines probably helped.
Yeah.
Any of you remember a game called Creatures?
I
I
do
recognise
know
the
of it.
name.
Yes,
I think I remember. Yeah.
a friend of mine is quite deep into it as well.
Yeah. So there was a game called Creatures, and according to this another article here from October 24th, 1977, there's no sorties or monsters to mash with the spooky season. In Creatures, your righteous warriors kick and slash to eviscerate the grotesque fiends lurking in the 19th century London mists. Castlevania, despite a gallery of god-awful beasties, has a flat, dated look, especially when compared to Creatures' 3D gothic landscapes. Castlevania, C, Creatures B.
And then Creatures just fucking disappeared.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I never heard of Creatures. But I have heard of Symphony. Before I even played Castlevania, I knew about Symphony of the Night. Let's put it that way.
Why were they comparing two completely different games?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that because Creatures is something else. I thought there was something about like raising critters.
It's calling about Righteous Warrior, so I imagine it's probably called something else here.
I remember I was reading about it, but it was back in the day.
Oh,
so
I'm getting multiple different hits, which is quite strange.
Oh, Nightmare Creatures is what the game was actually called. It's shortened.
I was thinking
that makes
actual
sense, yeah.
Creatures, which is a game about.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like,
Nightmare. Okay, I actually love Nightmare Creatures.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. If you love it, that's fine. But the thing is,
it's a totally different genre than Castlevania, because Castlevania is 2D. That was a 3D.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're comparing it, and they're also, with all respect, but I'd never heard of Nightmare Creatures until I read this article.
Caddy do
I'll be
something
honest.
on this? I know one of the retro gamers did something. It's either Caddy or Peanut Butter Gamer.
I'm pretty sure I saw this in a Caddy video at some point.
Yeah.
I recognize it.
Yeah.
They might have. I liked it. It gave me a nightmare.
I just remember having like the image I've just posted in the chat there. The fact that it had that frankly horrifying face with glowing eyes front cover, but also what really got me was the fact that two different fonts.
Yeah.
In 2 words.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
very 90s.
Graphic design is my passion, guys.
I mean, it kind of is. When I was in senior school, we had to do a work placement for a week. Work experience. Mine was in the graphic design department of my local newspaper. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I think
Planescape Torment, I think, is doing the same thing, isn't it?
But
I think
you
so,
have different fonts.
I do think that games, the scores influence our decisions all the time. I don't think that we can get away with it. It goes to show that you can't take anything at gospel, and hindsight is 2020. You need to look at a review, let it inform you, but don't treat it as gospel and be skeptical. Treat if you play a demo if you can, take a personal review from someone close to you if you can.
Are you saying, Ebak, that people need to make their own decisions?
I mean, maybe.
Research that they do.
It's a crazy thought, isn't it?
You actually said it, ladies and gentlemen. You actually did it.
You have to make your own opinions through facts and evidence?
He's saying people should have a critical view.
What?
I know, right?
Possible.
It's almost like people have to be told what they can enjoy and what they can't. I mean, come on, you guys. I've recommended the games to all three of you. You guys pretty much know that. I tend to be pretty on the ball with these things.
Yeah, maybe slightly.
Maybe not confirming, not denying anything.
How many hours have you? How many Metroidvanias have you now played, Bert?
Well, I mean, well, I've been playing Metroidvanias before, but I've played like 4 Castlevanias, 5 Metroids so far.
There you go.
From your recommendation.
Did I say more?
But I wanted to say you bringing the Nintendo Power from 1997 is a great example of how we can treat the review trends optimistically. Because if we compare today's reviews with the reviews from today, those were god awful. They didn't tell you almost
tell you anything.
anything.
I'll tell you anything.
I remember some old reviews from like really old used to be I can't remember what its full title was, but it was like it was a Game Boy Advance magazine that eventually became Nintendo Official Magazine, which basically just shat on a game. Like, in fairness, it was a movie tie-in game and it wasn't like super good, but it wasn't terrible either. It was kind of just like this very below average game. But all this review was basically just shitting on it constantly. And I was just like,
that's one, but also two is that people didn't really know how to write reviews, how to review a game, what to look at, what to look for when they play a game, how to analyze what the game presents and how it was made. So we needed all this time when the game dev and the game market has gone bigger for the reviewers to grow up as well.
I mean,
let's keep on growing up too.
That's fair. Yeah. Let's call a spade a spade. The review I mentioned with the Castlevania versus the two Castlevania games compared to that wasn't a review. That was a marketing pitch. That was a marketing pitch for a Nintendo Power, basically saying buy our Castlevania game.
But I do sometimes though look into some of the game magazines that were released back when I was like 13 to 17, and in the 90s, and those kind of games that were described back then, and a lot of those articles they don't hold any water to the reviews nowadays.
Of course,
they did not know how to really look at the game.
Of course, you can't. Sorry, Burr. Finish.
No. You can continue.
I was just going to say, of course, gents, we've got to remember that most of these reviewers probably cut their teeth on the great video game crash of all the Atari games that were shite. Of course they didn't learn the best skills. They had like games that could barely function.
And let's not forget that most of these reviewers and things are there to sell you a product.
Yep.
In some regards, yes.
I'm sorry. What? I was just drinking. It's.
Well, to be honest,
you got what I was doing there for a second. We're not sponsored by McDonald's or by Coca-Cola.
Nope. But to be honest, though, the reviews from Polish press and Polish magazines weren't there to sell your product, because those games weren't even sold. There weren't outlets to sell those games. Like 2 years, like halfway through the 90s, we had a copyright law only then. Before, there was no copyright law. You could just pirate whatever you wanted and sell it wherever you wanted.
Oh, it's like Russia today, you mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
Pretty much. I mean, it did kind of take us from 1990 to 2000s to grow from a communist country to a capitalist country.
Any Russian authorities that might be watching this broadcast, please don't geolocate this room of mine, please.
Well,
I'd rather not.
Yeah. Don't geolocate those guys. Whereas, as far as I'm concerned, Ruski военный корабль иди на хуй.
I don't know who this man is.
I don't know what he said, but if he told you to go eat a dick, I agree with him.
If you've heard of the Ukrainian fighters on the Snake Island, I just repeated what they said.
Yes. English. Would I be allowed to English translate this?
Russian warship. Go fuck yourself. Yes.
So you did tell him to go eat a dick. Good. I say I support.
That's not. No.
What are you worried about? They're not going to track you down, Lemming. What are they going to do with you?
Whatever they fucking want. I'm not going to be able to do much if they do.
On British soil.
True.
That
I
didn't,
don't think they call that a war
that didn't
crime.
stop. That didn't stop him poisoning you, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe give it a bath somewhere.
In fact, yeah, true. But even though if I have to say this, go fuck yourself, Russia. So
Yeah, go choke on your own Novichok.
what he
Go
said.
raise some
I
go
don't know
become
who
plant
any of
food.
these men are.
That sounds like a good place for us to wrap up.
Yeah.
They do whatever the hell they want to do.
If I'm to quote, to end this with a quote from an Ace Combat game, Russia, why don't you go dance with the angels?
All right.
People who played Ace Combat will get that one.
In the pale moonlight.
Yeah. Well, if you
better,
guys
yeah.
are all sticking your hands into the hornet's nest, I will as well. Hey, Putin, you're a piece of shit and you're micro dick. You got a micro dick.
Oh, she just threatened the
Yeah.
manhood.
That's why he's compensating with a big table. That makes sense.
Yeah, he wants people to think it fills it up, but it.
On another subject, I was off work today. I'm off work tomorrow. Should I go see the Batman?
Yes.
Yes, I've not seen it.
Okay.
I can't comment.
Yes.
But yes.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it.
Right, I'm booking it right now then.
Yeah.
Yay.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. I think we've all treated ourselves to doing a bit of shitting on certain countries. I think that's enough for tonight. We've given you the news. We've commented densely upon the idea of scores and reviews, and if they're good, and if they influence us, which I think I think we can surely say that they definitely are influence upon people, even if you don't take them at face value. And sometimes that can be a negative thing. So always check yourself before you wreck yourself, or wreck your wallet.
That
Anyway.
would explain that would explain my unexplained bruises.
In the meantime, we'll be back next month. Not sure what our topic of discussion will be, but we'll be back on the 26th of April to discuss more, commenting densely upon the news in between now and then, as well as
I'll be back in my flat again.
yay,
Possibly with Doctor.
possibly with Doctor. Yes,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
So if he's doing okay.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can have a nice conversation about something else at this time. Speaking of, if you guys have got any ideas for news topics that we can cover, or even topics in general that we can cover, we just give us a shout over on our various tweeters. You can follow us, of course, at I'm at you back the cat, Every Burr, Shadow Phoenix 1, and Lemming Russ. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight, as well as my colleagues. As ever, I could talk the night away with them forever. But we tend to. We're most likely going to chat for another hour after the show. We'll see. But for now, everyone, you can this time. But for now, we'll see you all later, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Take care of yourselves.